in this crucial year, 2024. And the innovation is all about meeting the moment. The status quo doesn't work, and Jason kind of alluded to that. It's not enough just to have the right ideas. You also have to have the right implementation. And the Innovation Prize is all about thinking outside of the box. Where's the innovation to meet the moment? And there are so many amazing things being done around the country and in the movement in this room. I'm really excited to bring up, we're going to watch a little bit of a video here, and then we'll dive into this year's recipients.
At this pivotal juncture in American history, we face a defining moment. To save our republic, it's imperative that we, the American people, rise up, confront, and defeat radical leftists and their destructive agenda head-on. The conservative movement must go on offense like never before against those trying to bring down the nation from within, and we must work together. The American people are looking for courageous leaders who are willing to call out this radicalism for what it is and provide ideas and solutions to the problems millions are facing today. That's why Heritage created the Innovation Prize, to literally put its money where its mouth is and award $1 million annually to results-oriented nonprofits for bold projects involving research, litigation, education, outreach, or communications. We want to empower groups that spark creative disruption within the conservative movement. It's about serving the movement and uniting conservatives, particularly outside the Beltway, to defeat the destructive ideology and designs of the radical left so that we can get down to the business of rebuilding our country.
I insisted on popping back up here because Bridget Wagner is going to pop up here in a moment, but I would guess that if I asked you all to raise your hand, every single one of you knows Bridget. And as I referenced the Resource Bank, which has been a staple for 50 years, Bridget has been pivotal in each one of those events in the movement and rolling out the Innovation Prize and seeing all of this come to fruition. We are so incredibly grateful for Bridget. So if Bridget has ever helped you out in any way, give her a warm round of applause.
Thanks, Janae. And thank you all for joining us for this really special day to celebrate the opening of the new Barb Van Andel Gaby Center, to kick off the Heritage Strategy Forum, and celebrate the 2024 round of Innovation Prizes. Since we launched the Innovation Prize in 2022, we've been blown away, literally blown away by the work that is being done to deliver the creative research, hard-hitting oversight projects, critical litigation, and the creative outreach and education efforts to protect life, promote marriage, and strengthen families, to expand education options and protect our children, to fight for free speech, religious liberty, and our constitutional rights, to roll back the growing and intrusive federal government and counter the threat of the CCP, and to ensure honest elections and secure our borders. And we're thrilled to see so many new leadership programs expanding and strengthening the conservative movement. We received an extraordinary 84 applications for this fourth round of the Innovation Prizes. So thank you to all of you in the room who applied. After carefully reviewing the materials, our panel of policy and outreach experts helped to narrow the field, and the prize committee selected 9 winners this year, so that was the most we've had. I'd like to call up Heritage Executive Vice President Derek Morgan to help with the prize presentations. He's our Carol Merrill for the evening. So we're excited, our first prize, we're excited to award an Innovation Prize and $100,000 to the American Association of Pro-Life Obstetricians and Gynecologists, an organization whose vision is to be the preeminent medical voice that informs the medical community, policymakers, and the public on the importance of declining to use death as a therapeutic option, respects the dignity of all human life, and prohibits the taking of life by a medical practitioner, including the lives of preborn children. The 2024 Innovation Prize is being presented to APLOG for its abortion pill reversal education and recruitment project. Many physicians don't know that thanks to the abortion pill reversal treatment, there are more than 4,500 babies alive today. And unfortunately, because physicians are unaware that this treatment exists, the public is also unaware, and unaware that it saves almost 70% of those babies. APLOG is launching this education and recruitment project, which will utilize continuing medical education alongside an extensive media campaign to reach physicians, patients, insurance providers, and everyday Americans nationwide with the truth about abortion pill reversals. We're joined by Dr. Christina Francis, a board-certified OBGYN and the CEO of the American Association of Pro-Life Obstetricians and Gynecologists.
Thank you so much, Bridget, and to everyone at the Heritage Foundation who was involved in selecting us for this prize. You know, for decades, we have heard that women deserve the freedom to choose, but we knew that it was really all about the freedom to choose one option, abortion. Abortion pill reversal, or APR, is an evidence-based therapy that actually provides real choice to mothers who begin an abortion drug regimen but change their minds. And as Bridget said, it has saved the lives of over 4,500 babies to date, including babies that I've had the privilege to deliver. And with 63% of abortions in the U.S. now being done via abortion pills, the need for APR is only increasing. But despite expanding the horizons of choice for women, APR has been the object of unscientific and partisan attacks in states across the country, including Colorado, California, and most recently, New York. So to combat this, as Bridget said, with the help of the Heritage Innovation Prize, we are developing an online course that will be used to educate medical professionals and hospital systems about APR's robust scientific backing, with the goal of recruiting more APR providers so that every woman who regrets her abortion decision and wants to save her child can have the chance to do so. We are honored to have the Heritage Foundation support and look forward to continuing to provide women and our preborn patients with excellent and cutting-edge care. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christina. We are proud to award an Innovation Prize and $100,000 to the American Accountability Foundation for its project to identify radical appointees within the government. Now, I realize that is an enormous task. In addition to the aggressive policy and political program of the Biden administration, we have seen an effort to entrench radical appointees into permanent positions across the government to undermine and subvert the goals of a new conservative administration. In response, the American Accountability Foundation and their investigative researchers will be crafting in-depth reports and mounting an education effort to alert Congress, the new administration, and the American people to the presence of these bad actors burrowed into the administrative state and ensure appropriate action is taken. And we all know what appropriate is. We're joined by Tom Jones, president of the American Accountability Foundation.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you to the Heritage Foundation and its members for the support and confidence that they've placed in AAF. As Bridget was saying, what this grant is going to enable is AAF to take a look at the deep state bureaucrats, particularly within the Department of Homeland Security, who will obstruct an effort to secure the southern border. Unfortunately, what we saw during the Trump administration was that personnel is policy, and that the bureaucrats, the GS-14s, the GS-15s, the SESs, who we never hear about, use their effort to obstruct the will of our elected leaders. So AAF is going to be guided by Jim Collins' injunction to make a great organization. You need to get the good people on the bus. Project 2025 is doing that. AAF is going to focus on getting the bad people off the bus. So we're going to put together an education effort so that Congress, the next group of leaders that come into DHS, and the American people know who exist at these agencies that are subverting the will of the next conservative administration. So we can't express just how excited we are to be a part of this, and thank you for the Heritage Foundation for supporting us and making this possible.
Thanks, Tom. We're pleased to award an Innovation Prize and $100,000 to the Carolinas Academic Leadership Project or Network, a project of the John Locke Foundation, the Palmetto Promise Institute, and the South Carolina Policy Council. We've seen that even with universal school choice in the Carolinas, almost 80% of the students are in traditional government schools with dismal academic records. And many school board members don't realize how little time is spent ensuring their students' academic success. The Carolinas Academic Leadership Network will provide school board members with the training, policy analysis, media and communications expertise, and the education attorneys necessary to develop the intellectual ammunition and the political will needed to change the radical agenda in our schools and put academic achievement front and center in their districts. We're joined by Don Bryson, CEO of the John Locke Foundation and board treasurer of CALN, Wendy Dameron, president and CEO of the Palmetto Promise Institute, and Bryce Fiedler, senior policy analyst of the South Carolina Policy Council and board member of the Carolinas Academic Leadership Network.
My name's Donald Bryson. I'm with the John Locke Foundation in North Carolina, and I want to thank the Heritage Foundation, and I want to thank Amy Cook, who was the former CEO of John Locke, and she's still the project lead and really the driving force and energy behind this project. Thank her. She couldn't be here tonight. Bridget, as a side note, 19 years ago, I applied to be a Heritage intern, and I'm waiting on that callback. It's a beautiful room. I would love to be an intern and be considered. But the COVID-19 pandemic created a lot of education activists. I'm sure that you've seen that in all your states. And then a lot of them ran for school board, and they realized that running a local school board is very, very complicated. And a lot of people started reaching out to our organizations, the John Locke Foundation, the Palmetto Promise Institute, and the South Carolina Policy Council for help. How do we do this? And so we created this network where we can provide them training on how to look at a budget, how do you deal with the press, how do you talk to your attorney, when do you get outside counsel, how do you do rules of order within a board meeting, and at the same time create a network so that they can talk to each other and provide support, because sometimes being a conservative on a local school board is very lonely. And so we have this project across the border. We've not built the border or the wall across the border between North and South Carolina yet. But we have a great community that we're building together across the Carolinas, and I want to thank these two for all the work they've put in as well, and thank you again to the Heritage Foundation.
Great to see the two states coming together. We're proud to recognize the Center for Christian Virtue with an Innovation Prize and a $100,000 award for their Education Restoration Initiative. Children in Ohio are also, surprise, trapped in an academically broken and morally corrupt government-run education system. The CCV has a plan to expand their Ohio Christian Education Network model. CCV comes alongside churches with Sunday school classrooms that are empty 6 days a week and helps launch full-time, in-person Christian schools for 5 of those days. By leveraging the state voucher program, this education restoration initiative can provide a Christian education for students at little to no cost, especially to those below the federal poverty level. The Center for Christian Virtue plans to launch dozens of schools across Ohio and export this model to every state to build a new infrastructure that leverages existing resources to serve and save children. We're joined by CCV's President Aaron Baer.
Well, thank you, Heritage Foundation. As an Ohioan coming to Washington, D.C., I was expecting my walk-up music to be Welcome to the Jungle, but I appreciate it all the same. In Ohio, our state motto is, with God, all things are possible. And we don't just take that as an encouragement, we take that as a challenge. I think right now, in the conservative movement, in the church, we have a mentality of what is the way things will always be. But when we look around and we see children suffering, not just being told lies like they were born into the wrong body, but not being given the opportunity to succeed academically, we see the need to do something about it. And that's what I'm so grateful for the Heritage Foundation, not just for your grant, but for the way you are thinking about society today. We need new institutions, new infrastructure to serve this next generation. And even though it just starts like our first school in a church, Westside Christian School and Memorial Baptist, with 30 kids, those were 30 kids that were in public schools that only 5% of those kids were passing the third grade reading test. And now 30 out of the 31 kids in that first class have met literacy standards for their grade. And now the school is 70 kids, and we have 2 schools in a church, and it starts small, but we see big opportunities ahead. So thank you so much for the Heritage Foundation for believing in us, and thank you all for being here.
Thanks, Aaron. We're excited to recognize the Claremont Institute with an Innovation Prize and $100,000 for their American Heartland Fellowship Program. We've seen that the growing combination of government and corporate power, including censorship on tech platforms and the use of ESG criteria to control access to capital, is a danger to liberty, economic growth, and innovation. To counter this, the Claremont Institute is launching the American Heartland Fellowship to teach the principles of the American founding, along with their application, to promising leaders and thinkers positioned to use that knowledge in practical and influential ways. This fellowship will educate and connect a cadre of entrepreneurial leaders in key industries and states to ensure that Americans have alternate structures of capital, media, communications, and other critical infrastructure, so we are not held captive by progressive institutional power. We're joined by Arthur Millick, the Executive Director of the Claremont Institute's Center for the American Way of Life.
Well, thank you very much. It's really an honor to receive this award on behalf of the Claremont Institute. I had the privilege of working in this building for 6 very happy years. Heritage does many things very well, one of which is it takes young people, kids sometimes, I was a kid when I came, I didn't know very much. They took a chance on me. They taught me a lot of things, polished me up, gave me a great deal of opportunities. And so that's something that young people really never forget. And so I'm very grateful to you guys on a personal note for that. What we would like to do at Claremont is launch another fellowship program, this one targeting CEOs. CEOs are an untapped resource in many ways, not as donors, but as people who are part of a very powerful faction that is not yet organized against the left. The way that we win, in my view, is by creating parallel institutions. The left has gobbled up almost everything in sight. We need to create our own parallel competitive institutions. And through fellowship programs like that, that's how you begin that process. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Arthur. We're excited to award the Innovation Prize and $100,000 to the College Fix, a nonprofit dedicated to working with student writers to improve campus journalism, explore careers in the media, and commit themselves to the principles of a free society. Media institutions, one-sided narratives form public opinion and shape the direction of our country, almost entirely to the detriment of conservatives. The College Fix is addressing this problem by launching the Restore the Media project, which will gather prominent figures in journalism to create compelling, accessible, informative videos that will explain the importance of journalism, inspire young writers to consider journalism as a vocation, provide professional journalism training, and encourage concerned citizens to demand more of the American media. And they will share stories to demonstrate the proper role of the media and its impact in promoting real change and determining the future of America. All this will expand on the great track record of spotting talent, nurturing careers, and offering one-on-one mentoring and journalism fellowships of the College Fix. We're joined by John J. Miller, founder and executive director of the College Fix and its parent organization, the Student Free Press Association. John is also director of the Dow Journalism Program at Hillsdale College and a national correspondent for National Review and a frequent contributor to the Wall Street Journal. Thank you, John.
When I talk to conservative groups, I like to say, don't let 99% of journalists give the rest of us a bad name. I wrote my first book in this building, or maybe that building, is it all the same building now, on a fellowship program, one of whose purposes was to help young writers build their careers. And I've always been grateful to the Heritage Foundation for helping me do that nearly 30 years ago. And now I'm grateful once again for a chance to do something similar with young people today. The College Fix is a media organization that our slogan is breaking campus news and launching media careers. We work with college students to tell true stories about what's really happening on our nation's campuses, stories about DEI, cancel culture, violations of religious freedom, all of that. We work with student reporters to do that. Then we try and bring them into a pipeline to bring them into the professional media. We're trying to launch their careers because we all know how important the media is and that we need more conservatives in it. And this Innovation Prize is going to help us do a better job than ever before in recruiting some of these young people and inspiring them, because we've got to do a much better job with the media. So this is our shot, and thank you very much.
Thanks, John. We're excited to award a 2024 Innovation Prize and $50,000 each to the Institute for Family Studies and the Ethics and Public Policy Center. We've seen that 3 decades of unfettered access to the internet has taken its toll on child health and safety. IFS and EPPC are collaborating to address this problem and protect children through their new project, Protect Kids Online. Through this project, they will work with policymakers to create more online age verification and parental consent laws for social media and pornography sites, and develop and advance model policies for policymakers to make smartphones and app stores safer for children. They will also develop model policies that both schools and policymakers can enact to prohibit the presence of smartphones and social media in schools and coordinate efforts to win the legal battles in court against big tech. We're joined by Michael Toscano, Executive Director of the Institute for Family Studies, and Ryan Anderson, President of the Ethics and Public Policy Center.
Well, it's a delight to be here with you all, and I have to say it's a delight to be up on this stage with Ryan Anderson and obviously Bridget and our friends here at the Heritage Foundation. I mentioned Ryan in particular because what we're facing is big tech, and the only thing that we have facing this giant is friendship and a spirit of working together. Last year in 2023, 5 companies alone spent $30 million on lobbying here in Washington, D.C., on aborting any effort to make the social media platform safe for kids. These same 5 companies have 1 lobbyist per 4 congressmen. It is a true Goliath, one of the mightiest, if you might permit me a little poetry here, one of the mightiest forces that ever appeared on this earth. And we are standing in their way. And what we're trying to do is liberate our young people from a power which seeks to prey on them and make them despise themselves, their bodies, and to alienate themselves from their families and from their country. I want to point out Claire Morrell here. She's a great collaborator of ours. She's at the Ethics and Public Policy Center. She is one of the brains behind this operation. But in this audience here are other comrades of ours. So Joel Thayer at the Digital Progress Institute. I see Wes Hodges. And I point them out because this is only going to work if we all work together. And so I want to thank Bridget and the Heritage Foundation for this prize because it enables us to do more work than we could ever possibly do alone. So thank you very much.
We're excited to recognize the Immigration Accountability Project with an innovation prize and $100,000 for their 2024 election education project, which aims to keep the issue of immigration and the ongoing border crisis on voters' minds through the end of 2024. IAP is creating engaging content and using geo-targeted social media ads to educate voters on what their members of Congress are or are not doing to change and improve immigration policy and demonstrate how those actions impact public safety, education, healthcare, and competition for other public resources. They believe that ensuring a steady flow of immigration information to voters will ensure they can make informed decisions in November. We're joined by Immigration Accountability Project President Chris Shemolinsky. Please join us, Chris.
First, I want to thank the Heritage Foundation for having the faith in us to work on this project. As Bridget mentioned, the Immigration Accountability Project aims to educate voters on the actions, votes, and statements of their elected officials and also candidates for Congress as we're in an election year. We all know what the disastrous Biden border policies have done to this country, and we know that this issue is on the tops of minds of voters, if not the top issue for voters heading into the fall elections. So we want to make sure that this issue stays front and center on the minds of voters, and the Heritage Innovation Prize will help us continue to do that and do that in the best possible way. Thanks.
And our last prize. We're proud to award a 2024 Innovation Prize and $100,000 to Feds for Freedom. a nonprofit established in 2021 to assist federal employees facing termination due to the federal COVID vaccine mandates. Today, they are advocating and litigating for constitutional rights and reform of the federal service to be more accountable, transparent, and representative of the values of the American people. You may not know that the federal agencies have issued pronoun policies that require employees to recognize all pronouns requested by coworkers and require them to allow employees to use restrooms based on preferred pronouns. And these policies require spending hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars to make the systemic and administrative process changes necessary to adhere to these new pronoun requirements. Through the pronoun fight, Feds for Freedom will make this massive government waste and adoption of progressive ideology known to the American people by filing a pre-enforcement challenge in federal court against these policies based on First Amendment protections of freedom of speech and religious liberty. They have dozens of plaintiffs, I'm told more than 100 now, from across the federal workforce who are prepared to risk their careers to stand up for liberty, transparency, and constitutional rights. We're joined by Feds for Freedom's president, Marcus Thornton.
Good evening. In recent years, we have seen the government bureaucracy, the federal bureaucracy, increasingly weaponized against the American people, including federal employees and workers, on the basis of their sincerely held religious beliefs and political affiliation. That included what we saw during the COVID vaccine mandates, and now more recently, the increased weaponization of radical DEI policies within the federal government. There are a lot of organizations working to reform the government from the outside in. I think we have the unique distinction of being the only ones fighting for reform from the inside out. And we're incredibly grateful to the Heritage Foundation for their partnership in pushing back against the radicalization of the bureaucracy and the weaponization of that against the American people, and look forward to countering this, in particular with pushing back on infringement on employees' free speech by requiring us to embrace and promote the use of these preferred pronouns in the workplace. Thank you.
So thank you to the 2024 prize winners and to all of our applicants for the work you're doing to secure our freedoms, protect our children, restore self-governance, and rebuild our country. There are copies of our updated Innovation Prize brochure on the tables, and I think there'll be some in the lobby, and that shares the list and the brief descriptions of all of our Innovation Prize winners over the past 3 years. So we want to thank all of our prize winners, many I've recognized in the room from previous years, and all of the applicants. So we appreciate so much the work that you're doing and look forward to the partnership in the months and years ahead. So thank you. Janae?